To understand Monica's obsession with cleanliness and order, you have to understand it not as a collection of quirky habits, but as a psychological defense mechanism. Psychologists often point out that when individuals feel a profound lack of control over their internal emotional state or their past, they will subconsciously hyper-focus on controlling their external environment. Every meticulously placed pillow, every strictly followed rule, and every obsessive cleaning session is Monica's way of keeping chaos at bay. Take the iconic ping-pong match in Barbados. What starts as a casual vacation game quickly devolves into a high-stakes psychological war for Monica. She cannot just play for fun, she has to win, completely dominating the table to the point where her hair expands from the humidity and her competitive rage terrifies her husband. When Chandler begs her to let it go, pointing out that her obsessive drive is a literal sickness, she doesn't deny it. Instead, she fiercely defends it, stating that her hyper-organization is just good sense. This need for control shows up everywhere. When she takes an introductory cooking class after receiving a devastating review at her restaurant, she cannot simply sit back and learn. Even among complete beginners, she demands to be the star student, going so far as to fashion a star out of aluminum foil to force the instructor to validate her. When she is told that everyone in the class is just a beginner and that no one knows what they are doing, she immediately snaps back with absolute authority. I do. I'm a professional chef. This line isn't just about arrogance. It is about identity. Monica's entire sense of self-worth is inextricably linked to her competence. If she is not the most capable person in the room, if things are not done exactly her way, her internal stability begins to fracture. She uses rules not to restrict fun, but as she famously states to her friends during a chaotic gathering, because rules help control the fun. For anyone who has ever battled high-functioning anxiety, this behavior is intensely recognizable. It is the exhaustion of feeling like if you let your guard down for even a fraction of a second, the entire structure of your life will collapse. No character's psychological profile exists in a vacuum, and Monica's intense need for perfection can be traced directly back to the Geller family dining table. Throughout the entire run of the series, it is made heartbreakingly clear that Monica grew up under the heavy, suffocating shadow of emotional neglect and relentless criticism from her parents, particularly her mother, Judy Geller. While her older brother Ross was treated as a golden medical miracle who could do absolutely no wrong, Monica was consistently treated as a disappointment. Her childhood struggles with weight were weaponized against her as jokes. Her career choices were subtly undermined, and her romantic life was treated as a ticking clock of failure. This systemic favoritism left deep, permanent emotional scars. We see the toxic ripple effects of this trauma play out in real time during major family events. When Monica is tasked with throwing an impromptu baby shower for Rachel, the sheer panic that grips her isn't just about party planning. It is the terror of being perceived as inadequate. When she realizes she forgot to invite her own mother due to an administrative mix-up, her physical reaction is immediate and visceral. Her anxiety manifests so intensely that she exclaims her entire body is sweating from fear. When she finally calls Judy to desperately patch over the mistake, her mother's response is a masterclass in passive-aggressive cruelty, cutting Monica down for both the late invitation and the transparent lie. The tragedy of Monica's character is that no matter how successful she becomes, no matter how beautiful her apartment is, how elite her culinary skills are, or how stable her life is, she is always on some level that little girl desperately begging her mother to give her a gold star. She became hyper-competent because she realized very early on that she would never receive love unconditionally. She had to earn it through flawless performance. Despite being the most judged and mocked member of the group for her rigid personality, Monica is undeniably the matriarch of the circle. Without her, the social dynamic of the six friends would completely disintegrate. Her apartment is the literal geographic and emotional center of their universe. It is the place where Rachel flees when she ruins her own wedding, where Joey comes to eat a full Thanksgiving turkey, and where everyone gathers at the end of a long day. Monica's maternal instinct is fierce and unconditional, even when it manifests in incredibly bizarre ways. Consider the infamous jellyfish incident at the beach. When Monica gets severely stung on the beach, leaving her unable to stand or walk, the situation quickly turns into a nightmare of pain and isolation. 2 miles away from safety, terrified and alone, she is completely vulnerable. When Joey remembers a random survival fact from the Discovery Channel that urinating on a jellyfish sting can neutralize the excruciating pain, the group is faced with a grotesque dilemma. Monica tries to do it herself but physically cannot. In that moment of ultimate vulnerability, it is her friends who have to step up. Chandler ultimately has to perform the bizarre deed to save her from the blinding pain. While the incident is treated as an unforgettable, horrifying secret that haunts them late into the night, it highlights a profound truth about Monica's role in the group. She is willing to endure the absolute worst, most humiliating circumstances alongside her friends, because their survival and unity matter more to her than her own comfort. She protects her people fiercely. When Joey accidentally leaves her mother out of a wedding event, Monica doesn't just protect herself. She steps up and takes the heat, lying to her family and blaming the United States Post Office rather than throwing Joey under the bus.
She manages the chaos of everyone else's lives because she fundamentally believes that it is her job to keep the people she loves safe, fed, and together. What makes Monica truly brilliant as a comedic character is that her creators never shied away from letting her be profoundly cringy, desperate, and deeply uncool. She was never protected by the narrative shield of being the glamorous one like Rachel or the eccentric bohemian like Phoebe. Monica's flaws were laid bare, loud, and incredibly chaotic. Her desperate attempt to look trendy with Jamaican cornrows is a perfect example of this unhinged comedy. Desperate to find a solution to her naturally frizzy hair during a humid vacation, she gets a full head of cornrows complete with tiny shells. To the rest of the world, she looks entirely ridiculous. Chandler points out that he can literally see her bare scalp and that she looks like she has shellfish glued to her head. Rachel notes that she has never noticed the specific strange shape of Monica's skull before. But Monica's stubborn pride prevents her from admitting defeat. She dances around the apartment, shaking her head to make a clicking sound, asserting that it is a treat for both the eyes and the ears. She defends the look with fierce, delusional confidence until she accidentally gets her hair violently tangled in the bathroom curtain while singing No Woman, No Cry, forcing her to admit she tried to literally chew herself free. Then there is the absolute disaster of a voice message to her ex-boyfriend Richard. After accidentally listening to his answering machine and misinterpreting a message, she panics and leaves a wildly inappropriate rambling voicemail speculating about her own biological cycle. In a desperate, frantic attempt to delete the message, she ends up accidentally changing Richard's entire outgoing message to the public, broadcasting her personal crisis to anyone who calls him. And who could forget the legendary physical comedy of her trying to seduce Chandler while suffering from a horrific mucus-filled flu? Refusing to let her sickness diminish her perceived sex appeal, she covers herself in layers of blankets and vapor rub, speaking in a raspy, deep voice that she asserts is incredibly alluring, while Chandler watches in absolute terror, begging her to just go to sleep. Monica is funny because she doesn't know how to do anything halfway. Whether she is loving someone, cleaning a floor, or making a complete fool of herself, she does it with 100% intensity. The true beauty of Monica Geller's character journey lies in her evolution from a deeply insecure, validation-seeking young woman into a fiercely grounded, deeply loved partner. For years, she engaged in relationships that brought out her worst anxieties, whether it was dating a high school student named Ethan and dealing with the horrifying realization that she was dating someone who wasn't even alive during the American bicentennial, or clinging to the memory of Richard because he represented a mature safety net. But everything changed when she found Chandler. Their relationship succeeded precisely because they were both beautifully broken in ways that perfectly complemented each other. Chandler, who spent his entire life running away from commitment and using sarcasm to keep people at a distance, found his anchor in a woman who refused to let him run. And Monica, who spent her life believing she had to be perfect to be loved, found a man who loved her precisely because of her messy, loud and competitive nature. When Chandler experiences a severe relationship panic, believing that Monica has baby fever and is trying to trap him in a pressure cooker of marriage, he tries to push her away. But Monica refuses to play the role of his relationship tutor. She demands that he grow up and figure it out for himself. When Chandler returns, desperate and completely terrified of losing her, he drops to his knees in the middle of the apartment and impulsively asks her to marry him just because he's sorry. It is a deeply flawed, ridiculous proposal, and Monica handles it with incredible maturity. She asks him to take a step back and look at how absurd he sounds, gently telling him that getting married out of guilt or fear is a terrible idea. She guides him toward real, authentic readiness. Monica's arc proves that you do not have to fix your anxiety, your loudness, or your need for order to be worthy of a beautiful, life-defining love. You just need to find someone who looks at your absolute chaos and calls you that drowning moron. Ultimately, Monica Geller is the most enduring character on Friends because she represents the exhausting reality of trying to hold it all together. In a world that constantly tells us to be relaxed, to be effortless, and to hide our anxieties, Monica stands as a triumphant, loud, and fiercely passionate alternative. She taught a generation that it is entirely okay to care too much. It is okay to want things done a certain way. It is okay to fight fiercely for your career. And it is okay to be the person who washes the vacuum cleaner with a smaller vacuum cleaner. Her flaws did not make her unlovable. They made her indispensable. She was the heart, the home, and the protector of the group. Monica Geller was never a chill girl, and the world is infinitely better for it.